Lynn Cullen live in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Hello there, and welcome to yet another gorgeous day in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It is October 10th, and finally the Pittsburgh Pirates season has come to an end. To honor the return of Tom Sokolowski to our program, we're going to talk sports
10 minutes. I told her I'd give her 10 minutes. And I know I did not watch the game.
Jeez.
But
okay, I do want to say this.
Yeah, please.
First of all, it was a hell of a game up until
Really?
it was a hell of a game.
Well, but the score, though, was...
I just haven't anything. It was a hell of a game and a great... we looked like we belonged there.
Good.
I'm so proud of them. I could just...
Hug them and kiss them all night.
I just love them. And if I could have hugged every one of them last night, I would have done so. I thought, here's somebody who's got it right. Marge has written, I wanted a winning season. I got that. I wanted to know every player on the team. Got that. I wanted the Bucks to win the wild card game. I got that. I wanted the series to go to 5 games. We got that. We got so much. Our family spent the summer watching games and cheering on this baseball team. Priceless. Right.
Maybe she can now give Billy Narducci a run for his money in writing poetry.
I don't think she was intending to be poetic. I think she
it didn't
was
scan. But
I don't think that's intended to be a poem.
Oh, I thought it was sort of a
you?
poem. Yes.
I wanted a winning season. Got that.
But look how she writes it by lines. Of course, it's a poem.
Marge. Is that a poem? Is that a poem? I don't think it's a poem.
I think to me, as everyone knows I'm not a sports fan, but I think the fact that the team got itself, but its owner and coaching, whatever, up to this point, and that means next season will be a very
That's
good
right.
one.
No, I
And
can't wait. Can't wait till the spring. Here we
go from zilch to almost
these heights.
being right. I think that's really great. I think the team, although disappointed at this moment, but
I can't. Anyone who's truly disappointed is not appreciative enough.
Yeah, right.
I mean, what a great run.
Well, see, now this is where we can agree on this. Okay. I mean, like what you just said, and what she just said. You enjoyed the game, even though it was a loss, and they won't go on to the playoffs or whatever. But that's what it should be about, not this like big betting and games and heroes. Yeah. That's where it all goes to hell in a handbasket.
Right. Larry says, I thought I was doing pretty good until I picked up the paper this morning and read the headline. What did that headline say? Do you have it?
It's over, I think.
It's over.
See. Oh, the dream ends.
Oh, see, I don't agree with that.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Because I thought,
well,
but
I guess if it's the dream for the World Series,
I'm still dreaming. Next season, we're going. I don't like it anyway. I thought it should have said more like "thank you." I think they missed it. The dream ends as a downer and a negative.
Well, but it plays with but it goes back to my point of view, which is they played good sport, and thank you is a good thing as opposed to like they're not the winner, which is such a sort of American yucky thing.
Yeah. Well, he says, I don't know, is he quoting Ron Cook here? He says, don't be sad it's over. Be glad it happened.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah,
really. You know what's funny is I wasn't sad throughout the game as it started looking... my sister and I were texting back and forth.
Oh, because it was St.
She's
Louis.
a St. Louis fan.
I see,
yeah,
okay.
Right. And I did not. She said at one point, "Oh," I said, she said, "Oh," I said, "Don't feel sorry for us."
Yes.
I said, "I'm so proud of these guys. I can't. I mean, I'm just so proud." And I was surprised I didn't feel more down. I wasn't down. I was down for them because they're young kids.
They're young,
and this
they're
is
all pepped up
huge, and they
about
were
it.
so sad. All right, well, it had to end. I'm going to have to remember what it was I used to do at night.
You mean before watching all this?
Yeah, because I
sports?
literally have become somebody who just waits till the game,
really?
turns on the game, and I get other things done.
Learn
but
to
it's
knit.
just, I do know how to knit.
Oh. Take up.
And I don't want to get immersed in something. People always say, "Oh, Homeland started again," and "Oh, you got to get into black is the new orange or orange is the new black," and you got to watch, And I'm thinking, I don't want
to be a TV mouse.
I don't want to commit in that way. I don't want to.
I guess it would be the equivalent in the 19th century of these episodes of Dickensian novels that went on for.
Well, but that's
years.
better. I mean, waiting for a Dickens episode, I can see. I think that's a.
Well, I mean, Dickens was good, but he had a little bit of.
Wah. Dickens was good, but what was that?
But not every one of all of his books were masterpieces.
I think he's unbelievable. I think he had more of an eye for human nature and could just with delight sketch out these
but he was
marvelous
a bit formulaic, though, too. Well, who wasn't? So was Sue Grafton. And she's
I wouldn't put him in the
No, I wouldn't either. But I mean, the point being, they wrote, most of them were about the same sort of issue. I mean, his was always the human condition, which was very crucial in the Victorian times. But and there are moments.
Nobody has come up with better names.
Oh, his names
characters.
are so well. I would say one who comes close, and this is, you're going to scream when I say this, but is what is her name? J.F. Rawlings. The names in Harry Potter are pretty fabulous.
Does good names.
J.K. Rowling.
J.K. Rowling. She does good.
Dumbledore.
She does good names too. But I mean, to this day, the thing about his names, where they were just flat on onomatopoeic, so that they you can't hear a name like Uriah Heep.
No, you're right.
Who was this awful person.
Sissy Jupe. Was one of my favorites.
Now, of course, I can't think of a damn name, but it was just wonderful.
Well, the funny part of it was, I mean, he was actually a great writer, but Victoriana was, it was a very interesting period. I mean, when we think back, I mean, it was probably the darkest.
Hey, check this. Marge just wrote back, "I'm no poet."
Oh, but you're Polish. You have part of poetry in your
She says,
soma.
"No poem was intended." Well, you know what, Marge?
Start up again.
You must have the soul of a poet because it came out poetry to Tom.
Yes, it was like standing on the Vistula in Warsaw, singing the national anthem or something.
The Vistula, I guess that's why did I think that was
Not fistula, a Vistula.
I was going to say, fistula, something's part of a body, and the other is, the Vistula is a river.
Vistula, V-I-S-T-U-L-A. In Poland, yes.
I only know that from doing...
On the Vistula and the Warta we shall plant our banners, and again shall Poland rule, Polishmen and manners. March, march, Dąbrowski. I can sing it in Polish too, but I won't do that.
Can you? Do a little. Do a little.
Oh, no.
No, because Polish is an odd-sounding language. Do it. Do it. Yes, it is.
Jeszcze Polska nie zgniła przed drzemi. No, it's a Slavic.
Sounds very Russian.
Well, yeah, it's Slavic.
I know it's Slavic.
Yeah.
Sounds Russian.
Well, no, it's interesting.
He's going to choke.
No,
Sorry.
what's interesting is that...
choke!
Even though it is, the language grouping is right, but Poles are not ethnically Slavs.
What are they?
Poles. Well, I mean, what are Germans? Germans are Germans. Or Teutons, I suppose. But no, Poles aren't. I mean, Ukrainians are. And, just as Czech and Slovak are not Slavs per se.
Okay.
But the language base for that whole area is very much based on. It was very funny. Someone sent me an email this morning that he saw something saying, he read very quickly. He thought it was me curating an exhibition. There's someone, I think in Canada, who's Tom, T-H-O-M. I hate Toms with H's. And Sokolowski without the W. But I mean, some is Sokol, Sokolov, Sokol. It all comes from the word for falcon.
Oh, is it?
Falcon, yeah. And Sokolov, falconer. So, all those. And then you have like Sokolowski's with a Y, which generally means Jewish, or Russian or Jewish. Whereas with an I, it's Christian. And, at some point, that's what they did.
Isn't that odd?
No, I mean,
But usually, see, you can recognize those things because that's your, like I can tell like a Jewish name maybe from other people say, how do you know a Jewish name?
Yeah,
or looking at somebody, how do you know that's a Jew?
I know.
I know a Jewish,
we
but
have
when
the
I see
secret
a
side.
Jew, you've heard.
We wink and we twitch, and they know.
You've heard of Jew-dar. Well, there's there's Jew-dar. You just know. I don't care if their name's Christensen. Sorry, you're a Jew. I can see it.
Oh, that was
I got in a fight with somebody once about it. He insisted he wasn't Jewish, and I said, well, I'm sorry. I'm here to tell you you are. I don't know who's been telling you stories throughout your life. You're a Jew.
There was this funny thing. I don't know if it was Neil Roasted or whatever, but I was talking about the guy. There was this Jewish guy who had a name like Sam O'Brien.
Yeah,
because going through Ellis Island.
Sure.
And the story is told by a Chinese man who was behind him in line. And his name was Sam O'Brien, too. And the man said, well, how did that happen? And so the Chinese man said, when I went through the line, they said, what is your name? And he said, Sam Ting.
Same thing.
Which I thought was cute.
Sam Ting.
Sam O'Brien or whatever. But, all those things. I mean, my father even told me that during the Second World War, when he was, what do they call now? Recruited. Inducted. No, but that's not the word. When you were
enlisted, when he was grabbed by the collar and thrown into
but there's a name for that. I can't
when he was what's the word?
Drafted. Anyway, and he said some of these moronic people in the training camps, unless your name was O'Brien, they couldn't pronounce it.
Well, so what's wonderful about that, because in World War II, it's the last time it happened, because it was a war in which all parts of society were drafted. So you had, I know my dad tells stories. So he ends up on a ship. Mm-hmm. He's the only Jew on the ship. He's on a ship with guys who've never seen a Jew, right? Mm-hmm. He's on a ship with people from Appalachia. He's never seen the likes of them.
Right, exactly.
So you get this mixing going on of racial, ethnic, socioeconomic, blah, blah, blah. And friendships are formed.
Well, and that was the last...
And this was the last... But
last war where we all felt we're going in to fight against evil.
Right, but we were also all asked. Well, there was no question. We as a nation went to war. And such wonderful things came out of it with that kind of integration of the population. And what
I always found so funny,
and it's no surprise that after World War II, the civil rights movement, started to really pick up steam and get serious because you couldn't. It didn't work anymore. It didn't work anymore. You had too many people knowing too many people, seeing too many people.
Well, what I always thought was interesting, and only seeing this as a kid years after the war, but I always thought for ethnic America, which so much of the war, the country was, but also the people fighting in the armed forces, and then we had probably the most patrician president America will ever have, with his cane and his cape and his
cigarette holder,
and that voice and those speeches. That were so grandiloquent.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's not grandiloquent. So moving.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting because I was thinking about that. There was something I was listening, and they had that, a bit from Kennedy's inauguration speech. And, the torch has been passed. And I thought Kennedy probably has been the last, maybe Reagan for a teeny bit. But that business of speeches that will be.
No, Reagan did have it because, first of all, he could deliver.
Yeah.
And second of all, he had some pretty good writers.
But not
so he
gave
some great speech. I don't know about that. Kennedy had a great speech. Ted Sorensen is the one who wrote.
Well, no, none of them wrote to them themselves. No, the one I remember, the great one was when that ship,
blew up, and
that young man and the star. That was really pretty good.
Now they belong to the ages.
Yeah. That was quite extraordinary.
Oh man, wow.
And people respond to that. You can say, "Oh, it's like highfalutin and all that," but people respond to that.
No, soaring oratory is a powerful thing, and a president who can employ it. Yes.
Well, I thought it was interesting that when Obama made that speech on the 50th anniversary of the I Had a Dream. He said, and I thought this was interesting, because he can have moments. Mm-hmm. Not always, but he can have moments. But he said he chose, or someone said, he chose not to try to...
yes.
Not outdo, because he probably couldn't, but to sort of try to come to parity with Martin Luther King.
No, he didn't want a contest going on. He wanted to mark the moment, but...
I remember part of the speech, though... at the end, when he was sort of talking about just what you were, like, when those so-and-so, they were marching, and when so-and-so, they were marching, and that took a little bit of that call and response that you get in the black theater, black church.
Yep. I'm sorry, I just looked over that way and thought of the Pirates again, and got a little bummed.
Enough already.
I'm sorry, I thought I was fine.
I think you should get into, what's that sport called where they sweep? You push the thing
curling.
down. Curling, that's right. I think you should get into
curling.
Well,
actually, there's a guy who runs like the Curling Association here in Pittsburgh. I bet you didn't know we had one.
No, I didn't.
And he's a fan. I hear from him on occasion.
Shall we go?
If I want to do curling, we can.
I love it because sometimes the judges, I've just seen really the Olympics, they lay down and like roll down with that thing, which moves very slowly, measuring. And
I can't imagine. It has to be somewhat like shuffleboard.
Yeah, but
or like balls. I mean, bocce. You can tell it's the same kind of thing.
Except from what I can tell, I guess the sweeping business makes the ice
speeds it or slows it or whatever.
But it's so funny because as opposed to something like baseball or basketball, which is fast, it's like the slowest catcher in town.
Although, no, if you watch it, there are times when you have to be very quick.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Because sometimes that thing's
moving. We'll go to I'll make you a bet.
I am not going to a curling match.
I think it would be very effete and elite of us to go to a curling match. It would be like going to, what's that other game that rich people always play?
Polo.
Polo, yes.
The rich people.
Well, I don't think there's many polos.
Well, that's right,
Jews
because you have to
have
a horse, right? That's
well,
true.
No, I think a lot of them rent them or whatever you do with horses.
Well, I think no, because you have to be a pretty damn good horse person to not only be on the horse, but to be batting
up. And that weird way you sort of swim that sort of over your... Except it's very funny. There's this one very, very, very rich man in the art world who's a nasty blank. And he is known when he loses, he'll take that mallet and like bang the horse. And I thought someone should take that and bang people.
Are you kidding?
Oh, yeah. Talk about unsportsmanlike and cruelty to animals. What a shit he is.
Wow.
But,
okay. Hey, do you get the impression we don't want to talk about anything today?
No, we have been. We've been talking about ethnicity and...
All right, okay, but nothing specific. I mean...
A nation, that when a nation bonds together after the Second World War, I think it's a very profound subject.
Yes, that was, but we dropped it pretty fast.
Well, let's talk about...
No, let's not. I went through all the papers today.
And there was nothing?
And I just... You know what? I don't think I can do...
Levin Furniture has a...
Well, you stop. I cannot do... These
filler?
No, the Republicans.
They're just. What do you say? What do you say? They're just mean, and.
Well, no, but I was reading this piece. It says what a lot of people aren't looking at is the fundamentalist Christian delusional thinking that is at the base of much of this leadership. If you look at the guys who are closing it down. they completely dovetail with the fundamentalist Christian base.
Well, because it's a very
so
simple
it's the Tea Party
and
the
simplistic view of
and it's
the
a
right
magical
way
thinking.
is this
That's
right.
Way. So
and there's no deviation.
That's right. And they're saying that after they acknowledge defeat on Obamacare, all we're waiting for them, you know what, is to acknowledge they lost.
Yeah, right.
And they won't do it. They won't do it.
You know what I'd really love to do? When I've had this moment right now of saying, going back to my younger days, activist days, and saying, get everyone out on the streets in America, come on their towns with candles and say, enough already. You know, we voted
it would
you, so
be
we
good
can't
if
get
we
you
could
out
all get
immediately.
buses. Yeah.
But get things going. And then now, to me, I mean, I'm glad people are getting back to work. But, you know, shut down. Well, now all the people in the military are back. And then what's something else that they just said this morning?
Well, they're paying the, death benefits.
Well, no, I didn't.
You know, but this is that.
I mean, either shut it down so it's so horrible.
Come
that
on. Yeah, right.
Roar in the streets. But it's like, he's coming in and this one's coming in. Oh, but Smithsonian isn't open. Well, as much as I'm a museum man, I can't really bleed for that one. But I mean, and then these blankety blanks are getting paid.
Yeah.
Although someone said a few have made the courtly gesture of saying...
Big deal.
But that means the country is just saying, how dare you stop this all and wreck our bond credit rate, which can affect the world economy, over this stupid thing about whether someone pays for your flu shots.
You know, but this guy goes on. I mean, this guy says that if you listen to these guys, you do start to see how their religious beliefs are very much part of what they're doing now. Don't say anything.
All right. Lynn just showed a picture, but enough said.
Okay.
Although I like
so I want to just say,
named Michelle Bachmann.
I want to.
Well, no, I think anytime someone is so rigid.
Let me read some of this to people. Republican threats rely on believing that they don't care about the consequences, while Democrats do care. So why aren't the Republicans more afraid of what they're bringing us to?
Right.
Business Week, hardly a liberal news organization, said the price of default would be a financial apocalypse that would cause a worldwide economic depression. That's the sort of thing that affects everybody. Having a right-wing ideology doesn't magically protect your investments from crashing alongside the rest of the stock market. And the willingness of these Republicans to take the debt ceiling and the federal budget hostage in order to try to extract concessions from Democrats is probably the most lasting gift that the Tea Party has granted the country. More reasonable Republican politicians, who are few and far between, and if they're reasonable, they usually lack courage. They fear being primaried by Tea Party candidates moving to their right. Hello, caller.
How you guys doing?
Well, we're okay. How you doing?
Hey, the only thing I wanted to say, this is why I hate the global economy we have and this free trade.
Well,
that we're all connected. So if something happens, we all go down.
Mm-hmm.
I disagree with this global economy. I don't think the average person benefits from it. That's for sure. The corporations, sure, they do. They send it overseas, but the average person does. And Obama's for it, too. He wants to sign another agreement. So him, Clinton, they both wanted this free trade. It's nothing but run the middle class in the ground. And people, you got to understand, when you got a global economy, somebody farts overseas, it causes problems over here. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Well, but we can't be balkanized as we were for so many hundreds of years.
We can't. The thing is, there's no avoiding it, especially a country as large as I mean, so you can decry the global economy, but that's reality.
Oh, there's nothing you can do about it.
No, I don't think so. I mean, it's here. That's
exactly.
it. I mean, short of the only way we go back to the way things used to be is like such a catastrophe befalling the globe that we end up with a lot of little economies again starting over. But yeah, I don't know. I don't see this
our businesses. I mean, every company, whether it's Target or Walmart or whatever, is having or John. Michael Kors or Fashion House. Everything's being made in China, and we couldn't charge the prices we do.
Actually, China's now getting outpriced by
other places. Yeah.
Whatever. There's no getting rid of it. You can hate it, but it's here.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And you see, you're a realist because you're not a Republican. Okay, so this guy goes on to say, everybody keeps saying that these guys are with the Tea Party.
Right.
And yeah, right, but tons of them, particularly the leadership of this gang, are fundamentalist Christians whose religion has distorted their worldview until they can't actually see what they're doing and what kind of damage it would cause. So, these are not secularists that are promoting fiscal conservatism, clearly. That this is fundamentalist Christianity. And this guy says, who's penchant for magical thinking and who believe that they're guided by a divine force, makes it tough for them to see the world as it is, and that they do actually believe that Barack Obama is essentially the devil.
Yeah.
I mean, you can. This it seems astonishing, but you're snoring.
I'm not snoring.
You are too.
No, I'm not.
I can hear you. No,
I'm sorry,
you're snoring when you're awake.
Well, no, you can't.
Well,
my nasal passage. I'm sorry. I didn't check my Flonase this morning. I'm sorry, dear.
Well, just back off.
All right, back off. I'm not snoring. You don't snore when you're awake.
Okay, here, wait a minute. I just want to make it. Okay, so the movement controlled by fundamentalist Christians is oblivious to any danger. Look, they deny global warming. Right. I mean, and this guy goes on to say that after Obamacare, after they finally surrender, although they never quite will, global warming is the next thing they're going to screw us up on.
Well, and all those businesses who are going to feel the pinch if they have to change their ways of doing business, they're going to throw money and lobbying like you've never seen before. So let the world just go to hell in a handbasket because some of these nutcases.
So they think that they are telling each other that Obamacare will lead to, and here's a quote from one of them, the systematic genocide.
But they don't believe in the Holocaust.
Of the weak, minorities, enfeebled, the elderly, and political enemies of God.
Oh, lovely.
20% of Republicans believe Obama is the Antichrist.
Mm-hmm.
They think that this Obamacare will destroy the family and Christian culture and the economy and everything. And you hear them say that and you think, oh, they can't possibly believe that. That is insane. They believe it.
They believe it, yeah.
That's what we have to be that's what I have to be reminded of. Because I think they are just saying it. They really believe it. They believe that the health care law is like the beginning of fascism or socialism or communism, that it's an attack on America's freedom. And they think they need to do whatever they have to do. In fact, take us down rather than let this happen.
Well, the funny thing was the first day that, I guess October 1st, I was away, but was the first day when you could sort of
sign up on October 1, right.
And I'm going to cut, because I got a letter, since I'm a individual policy owner, I got a letter a week before that saying, no more policy like your own. But anyway, but then on the front page of the New York Times, there was this article that in those, I think it's 13 states who've now bought into the state.
26. It's 26,
okay, well,
including
ours
us.
being ours, yes, our doofus governor and legislature. But that people, unless you're absolutely below the poverty line, you could have Medicare. But those people, let's say, who work in a fast food place and make $18,000 a year, they will not be eligible. So even with more people being covered, which was the whole point of this, still I think 9 million.
Well, because they refused
crying.
Yeah.
She was like, I thought finally I was
going to get it.
Yeah.
But she lives in a state run by Republicans, and they refuse to enlarge Medicaid, which is part of the way Obamacare has to work. And unfortunately, the Supreme Court, when they said it was constitutional, did say, but that part that states have to do this Medicaid expansion, they don't
Well,
have to.
they'll be forced to do it. I mean, in the long. It was funny. They had something that really struck me. They had something in New York on one of the, I think it was New York One, which is sort of a slightly kinkier station, and they had people on the street in New York saying, "What do you prefer, the Affordable Care Act or Obamacare?" And it was hilarious.
No, I saw it too.
Now they obviously edited it, but so many people didn't realize
they don't have a clue. They don't have a clue.
And even was it the Times or the Post-Gazette? It was one of them, and someone took them in a letter to the editor, took them to task because the newspaper of record, I think it was the Post-Gazette actually, was using Obamacare rather than the Affordable Care Act.
Well, I think it's okay because Obama has wanted to own Obamacare. They're not running from it.
But it came
and I will, you know what?
negative.
And who did I say? It's not a negative. I think you stay proudly with it, Obamacare, because I'll tell you what.
Well, it'll be a legacy.
In
that's for
10 years, in 40 years, Obamacare, his name will be on because it's a signature accomplishment. Yeah, caller, go ahead.
Yes, Lynn, you're talking about the Affordable Care.
Yeah.
I just got yesterday my AARP magazine, if you will, and in it they had a little data. They showed all the states and what percentage of, I think it was people who were not covered by insurance between the ages of 18 and 54.
Yeah.
The Confederate states ranged from 20% to 28%, Texas being 28%. But what was really significant was the lowest state, and that's Massachusetts, at 4.8%.
Which has Obamacare, essentially.
Which has
Romneycare.
The
right,
that's Obamacare.
Yeah.
And also, apparently, in discussing it with my wife, she reminded me that Massachusetts, is saving money that's actually paying for the program. It's like a win-win situation. But I thought that was really telling. It's 30% of your population is not covered,
and
yet you're fighting this. And then there's Massachusetts that has it, and it's 4.8%.
It's unbelievable to me.
Yes.
It's unbelievable to me that the people are so out of it that they can't see what these Republican-controlled legislatures are doing to them. I mean, to harm their quality of life and even their lives.
But one thing I read, where was that? I think this was in New York in the Post or something, but that what is coming now is with the new laws in terms of what companies will be forced to do under this. That a lot of companies are looking at their employee ranks and are saying, "Oh, Lynn, you now work 40 hours a week. You'll now work 36."
Yeah, right.
And now I don't have to
under
give
30 or whatever.
That's going to dick people around. I mean, it's just.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. Caller, thank you very much. I appreciate that call.
Take care.
Thank you.
I think the problem's going to be, it will even itself out in one way or the other. It always does. But I think there's going to be that 2-3 year period where some people, again, are just going to be thrown to the wolves.
Well, you forget that in order to pass this thing, it had to be, it went through the meat grinder of the lobbyists of all the powerful sectors in this society. That it got passed at all is astonishing.
Well,
that
I
we've
got
gotten
the
to this
brochure
point
yesterday to look
and
into
it's imperfect. It's very
well,
imperfect.
I couldn't even understand half of it.
Right,
I'm not stupid.
Okay.
It's I don't know what people are going to do.
It'll work itself out. And certainly these goddamn Republicans are not helping. I would personally like to strangle every last one of them. I mean it.
I
don't know
thought
how
I was seeing a week ago, that I thought Boehner and a few of the other more senior ones were just going to say enough already.
Oh no!
But they're not.
No,
they're sticking with it.
They are unbelievable.
I do love that the president, I'm sure behind the scenes there's all sorts of stuff going on, but the president, just the public, has been saying, forget it. I'm not negotiating.
Well, let's hope.
Forget it.
Let's hope, because they're talking today.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
We got to get a break in here. Don't we? I didn't take a break yet.
No, not yet.
Okay, then we better do it. Take a break.
Stick around for more with Lynn Cullen Live after this.
Go to the all-new BergBargains.com for great deals on gift cards from your favorite local restaurants, bars, museums, attractions, and shows. This month, big discounts on your favorite Halloween attractions. Supplies are limited. The all-new BergBargains.com. Pittsburgh's best bargains. BergBargains.com.
Come to Little's for all of your back-to-school needs. Little's has everything for all ages to stay in style for this upcoming school season. Check out the large selection from Doc Marten, Steve Madden, UGG, Clark's, Lely Kelly, New Balance, and much, much more. Don't forget to come visit this season's colorful handbag selection as well. Little Shoes, Pittsburgh's largest family shoe store, 5850 Forbes Avenue in Squirrel Hill.
Have a question or an opinion? Call Lynn Cullen at 412-316-3381 or email lynn@pghcitypaper.com. Now, more with Lynn Cullen Live.
All right, I'm just going to remind myself what's in here. GOP weighs limited debt limit increase. I want to tell you something. GOP, fuck yourselves, because you're acting like you've got some power here.
Yeah, right.
You're crap, and you've lost this, and you will lose this, and you will not be in any way rewarded. And if you think you can weigh stuff till you're blue in the face, you've lost this. You've lost this. You've imperiled the nation, the global economy, and you're acting like, they don't care. The shutdown, it's 10 days in. They live in their little bubble. I'm sorry, it's just obscene.
We should have, what do you call it, Mrs. Merkel take on Boehner in a mud wrestling, and she beat the shit out of him.
Angela, come over here and fix this. It's just one horrific thing after another. And I have nothing left to say. I really don't. So, local issues.
Oh, is any more happening? Oh. They be calling in.
Hello, caller?
Yes, good morning.
George.
Lynn and Tom.
Yes.
Hello.
Good to see you here. Hey, somebody was up late last night and is cranky this morning about the loss of their team.
It's certainly not me.
Tom, I feel sorry for you.
No, she's being remarkably stern.
Stern?
Well, no, that's what's the word?
See?
Stoic,
He wouldn't even
stoic.
agree with you on that.
Stoic.
I think I'm handling this very well.
Yeah, but don't take it out on Tom and everybody else.
Thank
Please,
you,
Lynn,
George.
take another pill.
Was he not snoring?
I was not snoring.
Okay, I'm poking you both here.
All
But,
right, thanks.
poor Tom. He looks like
What?
I don't know. It reminds me of the ARP bus pulling into a rest stop and a cranky couple getting out. That's what
Thanks
you
very
two are
much.
doing.
That's made
That's
my
what
day.
you two are doing this morning.
I'm going to have to get on that treadmill faster.
Snoring and cranking and arguing and hey, everybody have another cup of coffee.
All right.
But the reason I called,
Yeah.
this is George and Moon. Okay,
Yes,
you
yes,
can get
yes.
nasty at me. Lynn.
Okay, go ahead. I'm.
Okay. Tom, I wanted
Yes.
to ask you, have you been to the Robert Lepper exhibition yet?
No, where's that?
I don't know. That's what I was going to ask
Oh.
you. I've heard the announcements, but I haven't found out where it is.
I don't know, because it's certainly not at the Carnegie, and it's out at
No.
the Frick, and it can't be at the Westmoreland, because they're closed.
What about the Glassblowers Society? They have a general exhibition.
Well,
center,
but
right?
yeah, but it usually has to do with glass. And-
Yeah, I know, but
What are you two talking about?
well,
Robert Lepper was
Yes.
a professor of art at Carnegie Mellon, and he was one of my teachers in several courses.
All
He
right.
was an outstanding,
Oh, that's what I hear,
multifaceted artist from the 30s through the 40s, 50s. He brought industrial design
Right.
to Carnegie Mellon in the 30s. He was a fantastic multiple artist designer, everything. He was a Renaissance artist.
Okay.
Well, he was very
And I want to go
influential.
and see his old works again, and I have to find out.
In an
where-
age of Google and the internet, how can you not find this?
Yeah, but if I can talk to Tom directly, and he's the art maven of
Well, no,
Pittsburgh,
He also,
why should I Google when I can?
Yeah, talk to the Oracle. He shows you how good the Oracle is.
Right.
I should go back to snoring, maybe. The only thing I could think of is maybe in one of the small, because it's not at the Miller Gallery, the big gallery at CMU.
No.
So I'm not really sure, unless the only thing I could think of is if.
But I'm not going to miss it, and you shouldn't miss it either.
No. Well, we did a show at the Warhol, 7 or 8 years ago, because the man who was and still is the archivist, Matt Lirbkin, he was probably the last class. He was a graduate of CMU who had Robert Lepper, and Lepper was also really crucially influential on Warhol. But what was really neat was what he would do is he started this whole idea, because so many of the people who were in Warhol's class came back from the war. They were a little older than Warhol. This was like 45, 49. And they needed to have jobs, even if they were interested in art, that would be practical. So Lepper started this whole, and what was the first place to have what we would now call what do they call it now? Then it was industrial design, but now they call it something else. Anyway, so that you could take
entertainment arts or something.
Yeah. But that you could design, packaging for macaroni or, what have you. And he would do these things, like he would have the students imagine a room in their house or something, and then create it like they would like it to be, not like as it was. So Warhol, we have this museum has this painting of his living room, and we know that it was full of icons and crosses because his mother was a bit of a religious fanatic.
So maybe Lepper had something to do with Warhol.
This was part of one
latching
of the exercises.
Into product commercial
it's a commercial
design
is what it's now called.
And it led to an art style.
But he was a genius. And he was also a very good artist himself. The Carnegie Museum has a couple of things that are his that they show intermittently. It could
Robert Lepper is an outstanding guy who hasn't gotten the rep even in Pittsburgh. I mean, look at Lynn. She's shaking her head saying, who the hell was he?
Right.
I am not. You have no idea what I'm doing.
The one place you might want to call, George, and I might even do the same as well, Sam Berkowitz, who owns Concept Gallery, which is on Braddock Street in
Regent Square. He often will do a historic show, and he may, but I can't think of any other museum or something in the area, and I would be shocked if someplace outside of the area, although maybe some places rediscovered him.
It's in Pittsburgh. I've heard it.
Oh, it is, huh?
But I keep missing where it is.
Okay.
But I'll look it up, and
all right.
I appreciate you've given me some insight also into the Warhol Lepper connection.
Great.
He was very helpful not only for World War II vets, Lepper that is, but also for Korean vets, and then I was a Vietnam vet when I came in there.
Interesting.
And he was outstanding for all of us. I mean, he took us aside and talked to us and everything like that because we were older students.
Sure.
And he was just a fantastic artist. And he dressed in the old style college professor stuff. But he was cutting edge. He was like a radical.
Wow. Yeah. His lessons in that really were great.
All right.
Anyway, Lynn, can I just say one thing to you?
Yeah.
You're wrong about calling it Obamacare. It's destructive.
I say own it.
No. It's the Affordable Care Act, and as long as they keep on demeaning it by calling it Obamacare, it appeals to a large mass of people who are uninformed and think it's a total health care package that's messed up. He should stick to the Affordable Care Act that's trying to make available health care to the uninsured. That's the main thrust of this. And by succumbing to this name-calling Obamacare thing, a bunch of more ignorant and partially ignorant people are going to become critical of it, and it's going to be
I'm so sick of these ignorant people and having to cater to their stupidity that I'm ready to scream.
Well, I would agree.
Right. And their leaders, too, in Congress like that, too.
Well, I would agree with you. The only thing I would agree with in terms of Lynn is that in the short term, you're absolutely, I completely agree with you. But in the long term, we'll forget that, and Obamacare will be like the so-and-so opinion or the...
It could very well be.
I think so
on the long range. It could take those raps and everything and then have a good name, just like some other programs. But then it has to get entrenched and it has to get added to and sharpened up and everything, and then it'll become something that people will admire. And
all right.
Okay.
All right, goodbye.
Lynn, have another cup of coffee.
Yeah, sure. Goodbye.
Right, bye.
Okay, so what I was doing when you guys were talking, are these not the greatest? I have been looking... No. at names of Dickens characters.
It's amazing what you get on the web.
They're so wonderful. Just, I mean, some of them live forever, like Ebenezer Scrooge.
Right.
And they take on a life of their own, or Miss Havisham, or whatever.
Wackford Squares.
Spottletoe. Philip Swidger. And usually, if you look then at what the character was, the name just absolutely gets them right.
Well, but the other thing is, I think that's cyclical. I mean, because he wrote so well.
Yeah.
Scrooge.
Okay, we have a call.
So we know what Scrooge is.
Hello there.
Hi, guys. It's Acme Jet Ski. That show, that Concept. Robert Lepper and Nancy Kalin.
Yeah.
Oh, it is that Concept?
It is that Concept.
Yeah, it's a Concept.
Okay, well,
great,
there you have it. So, yeah.
Well, George, run, not walk.
Call Sam Berkowitz. It's at his shop. There
Yeah,
you go.
we'll see you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, a few Dickens character names. Sergeant Buzzfuzz. Mr. McChokumchild.
That's pretty good.
And he's a nasty teacher in hard times. Mr. McChokumchild. Oh, jeez.
Of Native American.
Here's one. Here was one of my favorite characters. She's a minor character in Bleak House, which is one of my favorite Dickens.
A great book.
This is Mrs. Jellyby. And the reason Mrs. Jellyby is such a great character is she's one of these. She's a very, very busy woman because she is saving the poor children of Africa.
Oh, I see.
And she is forever off doing some stupid thing that she thinks is going to save the poor children of Africa. Meanwhile, back at Mrs. Jellyby's house, her children are starving.
Yeah, right.
Her children, she completely neglects them. They're half dead. They're starving. Anyway, there's Mr. and Mrs. Meagles. There's Kit Nubbles. There's Dr. Nupkins and Charity Pecksniff.
We know the funny thing about it. I mean,
John Perrybingle and Mr. Purtlechook.
He's playing with these, but the British do have. They
have names like that. No, when you go over there,
because half of them are biblical. Like who in America has been called Uriah or Elijah? Well, maybe Elijah a little bit.
Uriah, we don't do.
Yeah, but I mean, these are all these biblical. Or Sophonisba.
Sophonisba.
Oh yeah, she was an Old Testament prophetess, as I remember. But and then some of those early Anglo-Saxon names, like what was that one, Chokum Children? I mean, they took them like Taylor, like the name Taylor.
Chokum Child, yeah.
Yeah, or Schneider in German. Taylor,
meaning Taylor.
Yeah.
Well, I mean that is what names.
Yeah, originally come from. And I said my name was Falconer, so.
So do you think your family were falconers?
Oh, probably like 17,000 generations.
One was.
Or maybe a couple generations
and then when they,
were. And then they became...
And why would... there wouldn't be a need for a lot of falconers. Falconry was a sport, right, for the rich.
Well, see, the interesting thing was SKI, although most people think that's the only Polish name that you have is with an SKI, but that's not true. But that all SKI names in Poland were not aristocrats, but at least like upper class. So if that was indeed true, although maybe if we were, we served the upper classes, the Sokolowskis, I don't know. Nor do I care really, but
who knows? The thing is in America, when people came here, they literally could, and this is the classic American tale, they could reinvent themselves.
Exactly.
You could start with a new name. You can just start over. You can be whoever.
Well, one time, I don't know if I ever said this on this show, but one of my colleagues who I hired was originally Irish, and then she moved to Canada and had a husband there and took on Canadian citizenship, and then she moved here, and so she had me asked me if I'd come to her citizenship ceremony, and I remember it was in the basement of the William Penn Hotel or something, like totally unattractive place, but there must have been 200 people there. And it started out with some Pimple Squeezlenook singing "God Bless America," some woman on a terrible organ. But then the judge...
Oh, it gets very, very...
She called on various people. And some of the stories I started to cry.
Well, sure.
They were so moving. And
There's
as you
nothing
said,
more moving.
Oh, there's somebody, who had been almost starving, and then all of a sudden she now had her own little magazine shop in Squirrel Hill or something. And some people obviously that did not come from poverty, but it was just very moving. And I think there's very few countries like that in the world. I mean, we're not perfect. But
no, there are very few countries who so quickly allow people to become citizens.
Right.
Yeah, tell that to the next Mexican, you see. But,
but look at again. There's a lot of Mexicans who made a fortune.
Yeah.
Or look at that guy here, Robert Ogbide. I think he's from Nigeria, who came and now is running the biggest management corporation for third world countries and teaching some of these people how to run companies. And
it's wonderful. That's again the beauty of America. And if you let crazy people like these Republicans have their way, one of the things they're so afraid. You know what they're so afraid of? They're afraid of people that don't look like them and don't sound like them and don't have names they can pronounce coming here and establishing themselves. And it's like, right. And they know that demographically their days are numbered. And rather than sort of work on their own thing to come around to embrace whatever, they are digging in. And I read another piece today that said, you think that after this that the Republican Party will become more moderate because it will see they're digging their own grave? No, they will become more radical.
Right, because they're just so
more
petrified.
Conservative, because they're in the thrall of that group. They,
But
listen, you know what? It was Nixon and Reagan too, who cynically got in bed with these fundamentalist Christians.
Sure,
they weren't fundamentalist Christians.
No.
Got in bed with them.
Because Nixon was a Quaker, wasn't he?
Yeah, supposedly.
Supposedly.
Yeah. So they got in bed with them because they saw a huge, powerful voting bloc.
Right.
And for
one
a while,
toe the line.
toe the line, get their people out, whatever.
Yeah.
And the so
Well,
it initially worked for them, but
they came back to bite them in the ass
because they took over.
Yeah.
Because the people that they thought they could control are now controlling the party.
Well, right.
And
what's going to be interesting is when this ends. I mean, it will end, knock on wood, sooner rather than later. The next election will be very interesting to see whether a lot of those, especially the Tea Party people, get kicked out.
Well, they say
we're sure, I think.
Yeah, if you could hold an election today.
Well, right.
If you could hold an election, unfortunately, we can't. Yeah. If you could hold an election today, there was some poll showing that something like 40 Republican House seats would be turned over, would be in jeopardy, even with gerrymandering.
Wow.
But that's because people are so angry and so aware right now, but the election ain't going to be for another year.
Right.
And we all know that not only Americans don't pay attention, but then when they do, they very quickly forget and move on to the next distraction, and I have got to take a break.
Sandy Hook.
What's that? Okay.
Yeah.
We'll be right back.
Beach in
Yes,
Georgia?
right. Yes, I think it's a beach in New Jersey. We'll be right back.
More is on the way with Lynn Cullen Live.
This week's Pittsburgh City Paper is available now. Pick up one today for our special Halloween guide. Plus, Pearl Jam, The Pillow Project, Joe Grishecki, Sean Colvin, and News of the Weird. Pittsburgh City Paper, available at over 1,700 locations throughout Western Pennsylvania. And on the web at pghcitypaper.com. And on your smartphone with GPS-enabled music, event, and restaurant listings at citypapermobile.com.
A lot of times you don't think of Pittsburgh as like one of the more progressive cities in the universe, but do you know Pittsburgh is home to one of the world's oldest festivals dedicated to lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender films? You do know that?
I did know that, yes.
Wow, that's really sort of...
We hosted some films.
That's pretty amazing. And now that film festival goes by the clever and wonderful name of Reel, Q, R-E-E-L-Q. They got their own website. Check it out, realq.org. And this is the weekend when it all starts, when they start bringing in to Pittsburgh films that you're not going to have an opportunity in all likelihood to see otherwise. Films showing at the Harris Theater, everything from wonderful documentaries. There's supposedly a great documentary about Divine.
Divine, yeah, I'd love to
I'm
see
sure
that.
that's going to be unbelievable. And there's also comedies, and there's dramas. There's all that stuff. And so I'm just saying, go. And if you have Comcast Xfinity, do you have that on your cable? Here's what it says. I haven't tried to do it, but you can preview nearly all of the feature films in your own living room. All you go to is On Demand.
Yeah, yeah.
And then for some reason, you go to On Demand and look around, and I guess you can get on to
Even these films.
to these to some trailers for all of these films, which is really totally cool. So just remember www.reelq.org. Everything's starting up tomorrow, the 11th, and going all the way through to the 19th. You cinephiles, it's a good week.
This is Les Ludwig, an independent candidate for mayor of the city of Pittsburgh. I ask for your vote on November 5th, and here's why. Some candidates play politics. I stand for a secure position in regards to fracking, one that's based on my background as a food technologist and opportunities that were presented in my lifetime in the dairy industry when I was a food chemist for the United States Army in Washington, D.C., and the dairy products literally stunk. Someone had to go ahead and take a stand. I did the chemistry, and I stood tall. What are we doing here with fracking? We have a fight between money and public safety. No one has defined clearly where the danger level is in the distance from the wells. Until we take the moratorium for 3 years and find out what that answer is, I have to stand on the side of public health, not on the side of $500 million of money. It's a mistake, because when we poison our water, we literally sentence ourselves to big trouble. I ask you for your vote and the question of standing tall when it comes to making a decision about fracking. Let's keep Allegheny County and its citizens safe. I thank you.
Now, it's back to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com.
What are you going to do?
Yeah, right.
Okay, so it turns out that Tom has, in his travelings and in your life, you had an experience with
Divine.
the great drag queen
This
Divine.
was in the early 80s in London. And as many people know, for years, for centuries really, the place to go for a bespoke suit was Savile Row, where all the people get their shoes. No, shoes you get on German Street. And
Savile Row is where
yes.
you get.
But there was a bespoke tailor whose name was Tommy Nutter. And Tommy Nutter came to the fore originally during the 60s with the Beatles and that sort of thing, but he continued into the 80s and did bespoke tailoring, but with wild patterns and things like that. So I went in once and couldn't really afford the suits, but I just wanted to try one on. So I went in and tried this thing on. And I heard in the next changing booth to mine, this was like bump, 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 like someone banging against the wall. I was like, what's going on? So I looked out. I went out to look in the three-way mirror, and the man who was helping me was just saying how resplendent I look. And then all of a sudden, out of this room next to me came Divine,
but Divine not in
dressed
costume.
as a man. Harris,
How did you know?
Because the face. The face was,
really?
Oh yeah, without
obvious?
Without the hairdo, a big round face. And I said, "Oh my God, you're Divine." And he said, "Oh my darling, yes I am." So we both sort of looked at one another.
And he said you were Divine.
Yeah, right. Well, but his pattern was even more wild than mine. But on his body, it was like the dirigible flying in this Scotch plaid, but with purples and yellows and I didn't ask for an autograph because I'm not one to do that, but I thought that was so
Was he
funny.
sort of a revolutionary figure in that was before it was okay to be gay, let alone
what
a
really
drag
happened?
queen?
What really happened to him? And
I'm
this
sort of interested in that documentary,
I have again, quite quasi-personal connection. What really made Divine was it was at a moment when difference and all was happening, but where she, as they say, I hate that, came to the fore was through the films of John Waters.
That's right.
Because they were both from Baltimore.
That's right.
And I remember going the first time when I was in college. I think I was a senior in college. I can't remember this. And we had heard, a bunch of us, of this weird film called Pink Flamingos. Have you ever seen it? And so we drove out. It was, I remember, north side of Chicago. And we went into this theater, and from the very beginning it was weird. And then you remember the ending?
No.
Oh, well, the ending.
I mean, I saw that so long ago.
Oh, yeah. Well, the ending was very memorable because
Why?
a dog does its business.
Oh, that's right.
And Divine takes a chew on it.
That's right.
And that's the last scene you have.
That is right.
To talk about that expression, shit eater's grin.
Oh,
was that?
dear Lord.
But anyway, that
heaven.
film
You're
was
right.
so outrageous, and Divine was so outrageous. And it really was through the films, because then Divine was in the next 4 or 5, and then she really hit her stride with
Hairspray.
Yeah, the first version of Hairspray.
First version of Hairspray.
Because she was in it, and then they made it into a musical.
Right. And
When
she
Harvey
was not-
Firestein
and then
was in
Harvey
it.
Firestein
And then they
did
made the movie of the musical.
Right.
And then it was Ricky Lake. But the fact of the thing about Divine was that her persona was so outrageous on the one hand, but also, I mean, like if you would compare her to our own Sharon
No, wait,
Needles.
Ricky Lake. Ricky Lake didn't play that role. She
Yes,
played the
yes.
kid.
Oh,
It
that's
was
right. she
John
played the kid.
Travolta.
That's right. In the movie, you're absolutely right. Yeah. John Travolta played the role, but unlike our own Sharon Needles,
Yes.
who's really mean. Divine was always just sort of
Sweet.
funny.
Yeah, sweet,
Well,
funny.
maybe not sweet, and she played her character in those movies was always the overworked mother who was trying to do everything for her kids. Everything a drag queen isn't, especially one with that hair and And I think she just hit that funny fulcrum.
She got lucky then. She got the right time and
then of
she
course
had
everyone
Waters.
picked her up, and she was so and she really was. I mean, I remember the 80s she'd appear at gay clubs and stuff like that, but she really was, because of the films, fairly mainstream, which seems odd to say, but
They weren't mainstream.
well, but
they were. But it is true.
But by
Waters
the later
eventually
years,
did.
I mean, his big money wasn't for these, little crummy theaters.
this is
It was
true.
when Hairspray played all over the
Huge.
world.
Right. And thus began the end of Western civilization.
The other interesting film, I think, they are showing it. It's gotten weird reviews because it's played at Toronto and whatever film festival. Is James Franco, who thinks he can do everything from create the atom bomb to whatever.
Well, he has a film here. It's showing at this festival.
And then what it is he took this film that some of you may remember some years ago called Cruising.
With Robert De Niro.
No, not Robert De Niro. With what's the other guy's name?
Pacino?
Yeah, Al Pacino, who plays an undercover cop who's trying to find a murderer in gay leather bar culture. And there was one bit of the scene in this bar where these guys are literally having sex, and it was cut. Even though the film, from what I remember, it was pretty intense, but this scene was too much. So Franco has gotten...
Franco
is our former football rag, who's now going to be in opera. Did you hear that?
No.
Well, I'll tell you that.
Okay.
And he's redone the movie, the scene, with like outtakes and his commentary and whatever. Franco Harris, for this upcoming production of Aida here at the Pittsburgh Opera, which is
he's going to be the
king.
Yeah,
he's going to be the king of the Nubians.
Oh, okay.
Or
Yeah,
something like that.
why not? I think.
And each night it's going to be some other. He's only one night, but then it's going to be some other football or
sure.
punk.
They do that on occasion. I was once a supernumerary over there, because they had a celeb every night on stage. I was one once.
What, a deflator mouse, maybe?
Do you think I even remember what opera?
How many operas have you been in, Lynn, darling?
It was a dinner scene. I don't know what the hell it was.
I bet it was probably the Deflator Mouse. The Deflator Mouse is very famous. It's about a New Year's Eve party. It happens on New Year's Eve in Vienna. And in the second act, there's Prince Orlovsky, who's the sort of bon vivant of the time. And there's all these, the maid comes dressed as the mistress and blah, blah, blah. But at this party, what they often do is they'll have various guests.
Well, I was a guest.
Yeah, well,
I was seated at
once
a
in
table.
Well, I was once, and I got to make a joke. It was in Virginia, because this woman comes in, and she's the Hungarian countess. And she sings this song about Hungary and the Budapest and whatever, and I got to say, I bet she's not Hungarian at all.
Oh, I don't think you said it like that.
Oh, that was
you
the
said
point
it
of it.
like
It was
that?
meant to be funny.
Oh.
Which got a huge laugh, I must admit. But they've, like the Met, when they've done it literally on New Year's Eve, they'll bring in many, many stars who will do a turn.
Sure.
And, but that's what you were in.
Who the hell knows? I know somebody tells me to be somewhere, I'm there, and then I don't pay attention.
I'll believe that. I'll believe that for a second.
That's not true.
Really?
How come I don't remember? I don't remember. I don't have any.
Alzheimer's.
No. Okay, so I think we're done.
Okay.
I don't know what we did.
No, we had
whatever we did, we're done.
Hour with snoring. I'll bring a nose pin next time.
Yeah, really. No. Okay, so that's it, huh? We did it.
Goodbye.
Tomorrow, Mr. Potter should be stopping by.
Oh, that's right. He does Fridays now.
Yes,
Wow.
he does do Fridays now. And toodaloo.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.